So the review is a bit late because I'm very busy, and also because Control is quite hard, both to dissect and also to complete. And that's pretty much the perfect summary of its strengths and weaknesses. 1 minute you're in a glorious, chaotic firefight where you're throwing debris around, flying through the air, zipping away from any projectiles in a beautiful ballet. And the next you're trying to avoid holes in the floor while trying to attack a giant interdimensional slug in the sky. Control is the latest Remedy title and employs a lot of their flair for the pastiche and the bizarre. It also carries over their knack for stilted dialogue and awkward exposition, but this time around it's less egregious, as they are willing to let the world they've built do more of the talking. And oh my, what a world. Control takes place in the oldest house, an interdimensional crossroads where the Federal Bureau of Control has set up shop to basically profit off discoveries from it. This vast space of brutalist architecture is an uneasy abstraction of generic office spaces and industrial warehouses. The everyday spun out into infinity, losing meaning with each repetition. The setting is the game's strongest aspect, both as a puzzle box with loads of secrets to uncover, links to Alan Wake that paint a bigger universe, but also as a thematic gut punch. Billed as House is the sheer force of will exerted to enforce rules and regulations, to construct an agreeable reality on something that absolutely will not conform to it. The Federal Bureau of Control is out to colonize this alien space, and the threats which emerge from this interdimensional crossroads seem more like appropriate retaliation for the sins of the Bureau than an alien invasion. But fight that threat you will, in the role of Jessie Faden, who's come to the Oldest House seeking her brother, but quickly finds herself promoted to director of the whole agency on her first day in the job. What alien forces have pulled the strings to make this happen? Why her? These questions do get some answers, but as a character, Jessie doesn't get to grow much, and the culmination of her arc is disappointingly limp. In the end, she's not a plucky rebel who will tear down the FBC and everything it stands for, showing the illusion of control for what it really is, but instead just another cog in the machine. Control has the problem of a fascinating world, thematically rich, but tied to a plot that is straightforward and dull. The game wears its influences on its sleeve, Twin Peaks, X-Files, Fringe, but it has none of their subversive qualities, and the closer it gets to them in terms of its knowing winks and nods, the greater the dissonance between what Control thinks it is and what it actually is. Because it thinks it's a mind-bending adventure. What it is a very enjoyable shoot-'em-up with a rich world attached. And hey, that's not bad. It's been a while since I got on with a shooter as well as I did Control. The guns are straightforward if satisfying to use, but it's Jessie's psychic abilities, which let you tear the world apart, defy gravity, that make it special. Every pristine room you walk into will be left a ruin of smashed pieces and chunks of masonry, with exquisite destruction rendered beautifully in a very handsome game engine. Yet the action did only highlight more of the dissonance between what it could have been and what it is. In play we are literally tearing this world apart, but in the narrative we are merely here to restore the status quo. A disappointing end that, while familiar for video games, is decidedly not the case for the media which Control holds dear. It's taken their aesthetics and ideas, reconfigured them into something its own, but has missed the point in several places. These narrative and thematic frustrations pale though with the occasional rage-inducing set-pieces found in the game's optional quests, and towards the end of its campaign. In attempts to mix up the admittedly bog-standard enemy types, the game will occasionally throw in a boss. A few of these are exciting on paper, but actually fighting them is often a dire and thankless task, partly because these boss fights often don't lend themselves to the game's combat, which is so often a scrappier, less gamified affair, but also partly because the game's checkpoints are truly lousy. Sometimes progress will be kept after a death, other times not. The inconsistency only makes it worse when you realise a death will send you 10 or 20 minutes backwards. The game's linear progression is done no favours by such punishing checkpointing. But when it comes together, and they do put together a truly exquisite set piece, the game is absolutely electric. So there are problems, missed opportunities, but in spite of its failings, I think there's still not much in games like Control. I think it's the most confident and well put together of Remedy's games. Temper your expectations of a satisfying conclusion, be patient with its shortcomings and checkpoints and difficulty, and you'll have a very good time. It gets a don't lose control, just play it from me.
Control.